Welcome back to the next session of Atal sponsored 5-day national workshop. It's my pleasure to introduce an eminent resource person, respected Dr. B. Surendran Sir, Assistant Professor, Department of CSC, and working as Associate Dean, Academics, NIT Puducherry, Karaikal. He has more than 15 years of experience and had published 30 plus papers, and he had reviewed more than 250 papers for various journals and conferences. He delivered 28 lectures in this lockdown period. He received Best Reviewer Award in 2019. We welcome you, sir. Now I request Dr. B. Surendran, sir, to take over the session.
Thank you, madam. Shall I start my presentation?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. And so this is my today's lecture during this lockdown. I'm not going to talk anything about antenna, but I'll be telling about some of the tools or general tools that every researcher should know. And which is these tools are really helpful, not only for researchers and all those things, even for normal day-to-day work also, it will be these tools and other tools will be very useful for us for our work. And I'll be showing a hands-on session today. Possible minimum 2 tools, and if time permits, I will be giving a demonstration on 3 tools. So some of the tools I like to show today, I've been discussing about today in the Vika tool, and what else is Mendeley desktop, and if time permits, I will discuss about Coppernic desktop search and search everything. These are the several tools I like to share today. Just a minute. And so why we need a tool for research? So any department or any section, I mean any department faculty, maybe a triple C or mechanical, so anybody can finish their research only with the help of some of the tools. It may be a simulation tool, or it may be classic, I mean data mining tools and machine learning tools, or those tools are required for our day-to-day research. Without the help of those tools, the research cannot be finished easily. So that's why I like to talk about some of those tools in today's session. Is my voice audible and clear?
Yes, sir. It's audible.
Okay, thank you. And today's session, I'll be talking about document writing tools, and see, we'll be using MS Word and all those things. So I'll be talking about Mendeley desktop and some of other tools which is available right now, which is now getting very famous. I'll be showing a demonstration using that, and searching of files and contents. What happens is when we do a research, we tend to store the files in some places. Initially, we'll be storing it in some folder, and later we'll be searching for it. So, how to reduce the time for searching all those files? Because Windows search is a little bit slower. So, I'll be talking about some of the other tools which will help you to reduce the searches of the files and contents. And another thing is plagiarism checker tools. So people will be need to check the plagiarism, and if you don't have the Hyper or authenticate logins, and how we can check that. So I'll be talking about some of the tools related to that. And AI tools, that is generally AI, one of AI tools is currently getting famous. So I'll talk about some of the tools there. And data mining tools, data visualization tools. So I'll be talking about when we do a research, so we need to present our information in a better way. So how to represent them in a better way, and all those things I'll be talking about in data visualization, like with the help of I'm talking about SmartDraw, and it has a lot of templates that are available. And data mining, there are several tools are there. I'll show a demonstration using a vCopy user, which is very easy to use, where we don't need to do any much coding is required. So it's very easy to use one. And if time permits, at the end of the session, I'll be talking about how to write a research paper. But mostly I'll be concentrating on the tools demonstration. So people will be using document writing tools. People will be using MS Word or LaTeX. So, but if you see currently, maybe some of them may be doing it. That Mendeley Desktop and Zotara and then Scanner, Note, and these are some of the tools which is available currently, which helps the researchers with reference managers. I mean, it's quite a lot of functionality. This is a Docker for Word is one of the plugin which is available for MS Word. So here it supports 1,700 citation styles. That means that if when you write a paper, the main problem we face is converting. I mean, when you write it in a particular format, like maybe we'll be writing in a IEEE format. But when we submit a paper, we may submit to InterScience or Springer or elsewhere, or maybe some other journal, which is the format is different. There's not only the citation, the references format also changes. So the changing those things will take a lot of time and it's very tedious. Okay, and sometimes what will happen is when you change the format from IEEE to elsewhere, so the citations you may miss some important citations, or you wrongly cited some other paper, and sometimes the references getting missed. So all those problems will be that may lead to this many errors. So to avoid that, these tools, what happens is with a single click, you can change from IEEE to elsewhere or any other format with a single click. So no need to change manually. So if you write a paper with IEEE format, with a single click, you can change it to elsewhere or InterScience or any other journal format. So that way it will be very helpful. And these tools will support adding the references, not only from the PDF, maybe using a BibTeX, the citation format, the BibTeX, or there are other, I think RIS format and several formats are there. So using that, you can include the references into these tools. And today's demonstration, I'll be talking about Mendeley Desktop, which is free to use. Even Zotara is also there, but for starters, Mendeley Desktop will be easy to use. So it provides, these are the functionalities provided by Mendeley Desktop. That's like what the tool does is you have a PDF files, okay, the reference papers, not only your papers, all the reference papers that you use during your research. So what we can do is you can add it to the Mendeley Desktop. So what it does is it organizes all the articles, all the reference papers, and where you can take annotations and the highlights. That is, you can take a notes and highlights the important points and all those things. Yeah. Another thing is automatic extraction of metadata from PDF papers. What means automatic extraction of metadata? So here metadata means when we upload the paper, when we add the paper into the Mendeley Desktop. So here what it does is it automatically extracts the title of the paper, author names, the abstract, the keywords, and what is the journal name or conference name. So everything will be automatically extracted, so that it will be easy to filter the papers based on maybe author, maybe the keywords and all those things. You can filter the papers, and also you can add the citations and bibliography. Bibliography is the references. The last when you write a paper, the last section, the references is called as bibliographies, and citations comes into the literature review part where you cite other papers. So all those things can be done easily, as it supports Mendeley Desktop supports a MS Word plugin. So using that, you can easily do the citations and references and all those things. And another functionality which it provides is a full text search. So when we do a normal Windows search, even though it has some indexing, but it is very slow. And but better than that, Mendeley Desktop here, it will index all the papers, not only the title, the file name. It will index all the contents inside the paper, so that you can search the paper contents easily. These things will be helpful when you write a literature review part or when you write a thesis. Just a minute. Yeah. So, and also to provide smart filtering and tagging and automatic PDF renaming functionalities, and collaborating with other researchers. Yeah, and here what you can do is you can collaborate with other researchers. You can share your research work with your fellow scholars and your colleagues and all those things. And the another functionality it provides is it is stored all the information like what are the notes you're taken and all those things. It will be stored in the cloud repository. Let us say you start working with your in your system in your laptop. Okay, now you are working with the laptop in the desktop, and if you go to college, you'll be using a college system, and still you can use all the annotations and what are the notes you have taken. Everything will be available there. So it's everything will be stored in the cloud repository. So you can use the same login, your Monday desktop login. You can use it, and you can work not only in the system, your laptop, or also you can use it in the college system also. So it provides those functionalities. So I'll be showing a demonstration of Monday desktop. I'll finish some of the slides, then we'll go into the demonstration. And another important tool I like to share here is searching the files and contents. So what the Windows search is, it takes a lot of index your files, and also searching it's a little bit slower. But if you take the last three, that is search everything, locate 32, and look at. So these three are open source. I mean the free tools, freeware tools. So what it does is these tools will index all the files in your system, not the contents inside the file, only the file name and folder name will be indexed. And within a fraction of 30 seconds maybe, or maybe in a few seconds, it will index all your files, and you can search all the files based on your several queries. So I'll be showing a demonstration using that. So how it is helpful is not only for research, but your day-to-day life, your official work, and all those things. You'll be writing in letters and several letters and several times. And later, what will happen is we will try to keep it in some other folder, and we spend most of the time in searching for that file. Okay, so using these tools, you can make it very faster, and it reduces your day-to-day time spent for day-to-day work, and it is very helpful one. And another tool which your people are not aware is a desktop search. So desktop search is one of the tool where it is a more functionality than only desktop. And what it provides is it's like it provides you to index all the contents of all the type of files. Even not only desktop will support for Word document, PDF, and text files and all those things, but not for other files. But desktop search, it's like you're creating a search engine for your system itself. So that is a desktop search. So wait a minute. Yeah. So desktop search is creating like a search engine for your local desktop system or your laptop or your system's files, where you can create a local search engine, like a search engine for your local files. So it will index all the files in a system: photo, images, text files, XLS, Excel files, Word documents, PDFs, even the history, browsing history, and all the type of files, images, videos, and HTML files, and everything will be indexed. And you can search all the files in your Copernicus desktop search, and it also index the contents inside the file also. So during my research, I did my research in NIT Trichy. At the time, the Mendeley desktop was not available, so I have used Copernicus desktop search for my research work, where I indexed all my research work documents and research work folders, the results and everything I indexed using a desktop search, and I used that for my research, for writing the research papers and the thesis and all those things. Very helpful for me during that time. And some of the famous tools are Windows desktop search, Google desktop search, and Copernicus desktop search. But the market leader is Copernicus desktop search. In Copernicus desktop search, we have version 3.6 that is free to use. But after that, they made it like commercial one with limited functionality. But if you want a full-fledged tool, you can use the versions below 3.6. so which have full functionality. And Google and Windows desktop searches are not developed right now. I mean, they have stopped their development some few years back, but still you can download and use those tools. So I'll show demonstration using Windows desktop and search everything in today's session. And when you write a paper and when you do a research, the main problem we face is the plagiarism, because when you submit a paper for a journal or conference, it will be checked for plagiarism. Nowadays, they will be checking for plagiarism. Another thing is, even if you submit a proposal, whether you are submitting a DST proposal or another research proposal, so there also they will be checking the plagiarism. So and even if you have a if you are referencing your own paper, try to be the self-referencing also should be less than 20%. Try to make sure that plagiarism should be less than 20%. And the people will not have the here I have mentioned about Viper and Telnet, and these are the tools available. There is a commercial tools available, but people will not be having access to these tools. So in those cases, people can think about. I mean, they can use tools like plagiarism checker tool, or you can search in the net. You can find these tools, plagiarism checker tool, and all those things. So these tools, what is the functionality means? These are some online tools are available. In this, Turnitin and Viper are commercial and remaining are free to use. So what the limited functionality here is, you can copy paste like 3 paragraphs like that, or maybe 3 pages. Limitations will be there, but still you can use you can use it for checking the plagiarism if you don't have the actual login. And any data mining tools. Okay. So if you take any research, okay, maybe a CSE or EC or EEE or mechanical, we need data mining tools for any classification or clustering or regression analysis or any other analysis. We need to use data mining tools are required right nowadays. So among these tools, SPSS is a commercial one. Remaining tools are free to use. And among these, R programming is one of the topmost tool used in industry. I didn't mention about Python here. Even Python is nowadays used for machine data mining and all those applications. So R programming is having market share about 60% and above. Market share is there in the industry. And today I'll show you some example demonstration if time permits using Nika tool. So some of the classification and clustering algorithms. And so another tools which we people will use it during using for researchers, MS Word or Excel. Answer. Wait a minute. Huh? இப்பதான் ஆரம்பிச்சீங்க. Guest lecture. சொல்லிடு சார். Sorry, there is a. I'll continue. Yeah, so here people will be using MS Word or Excel for drawing the charts and all those things. But if you see some of the papers they use professional diagrams. The diagrams will be very professional, and so for them, most of the foreign authors they're using tools like Microsoft Visio. Visio is a Microsoft tool, and another tool which is used by a lot of researchers is SmartDraw. And other than that, Flowcharter and eDraw, some of the tools available for open source. And nowadays, you can find a lot of diagram tools. I mean, flowchart tools are available in online based, not like a software. So there are a lot of tools nowadays is available for online based flowchart diagram tools are available. So which can provide you better functionality, and it will give you more professional look for your the diagrams, flowchart diagrams you draw with those tools. And here, Visio and SmartDraw is commercial tools. It's not a free one, but the SmartDraw you can get I think 1 month trial version. So SmartDraw is very famous tool. So this is some of SmartDraw, some of the samples in SmartDraw. So here you can see the top left, this radiation therapy, some of the analysis, DNA analysis. You can see here they used the realistic templates. Okay, so you can see the rat here, the radiation, you have radiation symbol, and they used these are the different templates are available which can be used to draw this I mean the flowchart or this diagram. And it also smart draws not only for general charts and graphs, so it has a lot of specific templates available for all departments, not only for general, it will be available for even for 3D, ECE, mechanical, even civil they can draw floor plans and all those things can be done using this smart draw. So for AAA and ECE it's like they provide you some with lot of I mean templates, I mean what we can say, yeah, I mean the images and similar images which you can use it for drawing the flow charts, like here, or you can use a BTS station. So they provide you some realistic images and templates available which can be used for drawing the flow charts. So this is one of the famous tool nowadays people are using it for their research work. And here in the bottom right, you can see the human number of human deaths, panorama deaths of all ages. So several years, how many people have died. So here, instead of normal bar chart, they use the human images as a part of the bar chart, and so it provides something a little bit professional than different from the normal flow charts. And here, this is some other samples available. So right side, you can see there is an onion diagram, which also can be used for your, I mean, the flow charts and all those things. So here, and you can see the bottom left, so this is the A, B, C, D, E. So normally when you draw a flow chart, so you'll be using like rectangle boxes and drawing flow charts. If you try to write the same flow chart using this template A, B, C, D, I mean this is the each and every A, B, C, D, or each and every level of the flow chart, every process of a flow chart. This will give you a better and I mean, it will provide a more professional, I mean, representation about your work. And you can see that the world population for different countries. So based on the amount of population, it provides you the human size. The variation of size of humans is also available here. So SmartRice is very famous and it has lot of templates for even for geographical location, I mean geography, spatial, and even for satellite images. For a lot of things, they have several templates available. So you can try using that. It will be very useful for your research. And data visualization tools. So yeah. And data visualization tools, why it is required is, see, when we write a paper, the main problem we face is we have the data information, we don't know how to project it. So let us say if you have an antenna, you have several parameters are extracted for the antenna, and you can you will be saying that these are the parameters. But if you have the table, the values, so you can draw histogram. So histogram will give you how the values are distributed for this data set. So that will give you a better picture, or it will also give you some better understanding about your the data set. So that will give you more analysis and more understanding, and you can also justify your research work. If you have histograms, histogram is generally used for input data. You can draw histograms between the attributes and the class variable. And in case of antenna, you will be like mostly it will be predicting the values. So in this case, you can use the relationship between any two attributes. That's we call it as scatter plot here. And these things will give you a better picture about the how the two attributes are related to each other. So I have used like similar histogram during my research, and I have I mean you can see refer my some of my papers on memogram. So I have used a lot of charts for the input data, and it will give you a better picture about your give you more analysis and justify your research work. And for this, you can use Vika also provides a lot of scatter plot and all those things. And Express is a commercial one. Remaining thing are free to use, and also you can use these tools to not only for normal plots, box plot, you can, I mean, not only the bar charts and all those things. You can think about using a box plot, that is a stars. You can see here they use a candlestick. A similar pattern comes for the box plot. So these are all some of the charts are available. So that will give you better presentation about your work. And when we use a confusion matrix, so the confusion matrix is for the accuracy. Just a minute. Yeah. So when we have a accuracy, so let us say you want to classify, because I'm a computer science faculty, I'll take an example of a cancer image. Let us say we have an image, you want to classify whether the image is a normal image as a cancer image. So let us take a brain tumor or mammogram or mammograms for breast cancer. So let us take any of these images and want to classify them into, we have several patient images and we want to use apply machine learning or the computer aided diagnosis system, and we want to classify the images as a normal or tumor one. So in this case, we have two classes, that is normal and cancer. So for this, we'll be getting the accuracy. After extracting all the features, we'll be getting the accuracy. So here, what will happen is we will be using a table, that is confusion matrix. Confusion matrix is for predicting the accuracy. Will be number of correctly classified instances and incorrectly classified instances. So here, the diagonal values gives the correctly classified instances. In this example, in this slide, I have used 12 classes. If it is a cancer image, it will be only 2 classes, normal or cancer. But for taken this slide from internet, image from internet, so it has 12 classes. So diagonal values is the correctly classified instances. The remaining are misclassified. So normally we will be drawing only a normal table. So instead of that, you can use heat maps. Nowadays, people are started using their heat maps. So this will give you a better picture. The same table without heat map looks like a plain table, but if you try to represent them using a heat map, it looks a professional way of representing the same result. So how to use a heat map? So which tool we can use? You can use the Python plots. They have a heat map support. I mean, you can generate the heat map. Don't worry, you can use even the Excel itself. Microsoft Excel itself, you can generate the heat map. So I will show you a demonstration using Microsoft Excel. So yeah, let me yeah, I will tell about this one. So for research papers, some of the time we may not have access to IEEE or Elsevier or ACM, and some of the journals we don't have access. So what I request is you can try to mail the author and you can get the paper. So such things I did during my research. Even though I have access to IEEE Elsevier in NIT Tiruchi, there are some papers which we couldn't be able to get it and have mailed the authors and I got the papers. So similarly, you can try using the method, and scholar.google.com is where it lists the papers, and so where I mean this scholar.google.com it will what it says is I mean what it does is it will check all the papers which is available in IEEE Elsevier, and what happens is some of the authors they'll be publishing the paper in their local server in the college I mean the website and all those things on the personal page. They're uploading the PDF files. So Google Scholar will try to extract those papers and it give you the PDF link. So that's why when you go to Google Scholar, you will get some papers will have a PDF link, some papers will not have the PDF links. And nowadays ResearchGate is getting very famous. And past 2 years, it's very you will get a lot of suggestions are going on. I mean, you can have discussions are going on ResearchGate. where you can ask for data sets, or you can discuss about your research, the problem, and all those things. They are getting a lot of replies, and it is getting very famous now. It's a professional network of researchers, and academia also it's a review also similar to that. Here in ResearchGate, you can request a paper to other author, and you can get the papers from the other authors. And here, when we don't have paper access, we don't have the IEEE or elsewhere paper access, so people will use, there is a one way to get the papers in LibGen, but LibGen is not the legal one. It is hosted in Russia. I think a person from Russia, I think the lady, she was hosted this on LibGen, where you get the papers, all the papers based on the UI number or based on title. You can search all the papers, you will be getting the papers. But it is illegal. It is illegal website. Like you're downloading movies and all those things. Similar to that, we have for papers we have LibGen. And being a researcher, so one thing we need to do is we need to have a profile, whether you're a new researcher or an existing researcher. So we need to have a profile in all these places. So I have my profile. I asked even my scholars to create a profile in all these websites. So previously, they are not concentrating on ORCID ID and all those things. But nowadays, the journals are asking the ORCID ID for not only for the authors, even for reviewers, they're asking the ORCID ID. So ORCID ID is can be linked with the Scopus and the Pompoms and all those things. So try to in all these places, it not only gives you, you can add your all the papers in that list, and it will give you more visibility for other researchers. And journals also, nowadays they're checking the ORCID ID. If your paper is in, if you link with your profile with ORCID ID, then that means that they can check your profile and they can easily approve your papers. They can see whether you've done the work previously, or you are a correct researcher or not, like that. So it will be added advantage if you have ORCID ID. And researcher ID nowadays gets linked with Poblons. It is where we have the Web of Science, that is Clarivate Analytics company which maintains the Web of Science. So now they link the researcher ID with Poblons. I have my profile in Poblons where you can link to not only your papers, you can add the reviews you have done and all those things. And Microsoft Academia is another website which is similar to Google Scholar. So you can also register the profile there. And Scopus, and mainly there is also another website where you can register your profiles. So these places you have to register your profiles. So it's very, very it gives you better advantage, not only for you. I mean, your visibility also will be more, and it leads to more citations and all those things. So I will come to the research paper later after the demonstration session. Now let me go to the demonstration session. I will stop presenting and I will share my entire screen now. Wait a minute. I will share my entire screen. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Let me show with start with everything. See, when we do research or not only the normal work, so even I also face the problem like saving the files in several folders, another folder, later you have to search for the files. That takes a lot of time. You'll be spending time with that. So I'll show you some demonstration how search everything and will be very useful. I am using search everything here. We are using it in our college systems, in your academic section, and also we'll be using it. It reduces a lot of the workload for searching the file. So let me open search everything. So search everything is open source. It is around only 4 MB or 5 MB file. So it's very easy to use. So I'm opening the search everything. Okay, so it's the first time it is updating the database. You can see the bottom one. It's showing updating database. Let me use magnifier. So you can see here it is updating the database here. Yeah. So here you can see 4,57,000 files and folders are displayed in the search window. So it displays all the files. This is a normal. These are the buttons are available with search everything. So here it listed how many files. There is 4,57,000 files. Within a fraction of few seconds, it updated all the files in my all my drives. So let me check for some of the files. Let me check for antenna. Okay, so I was trying to download some antenna data set to show demonstration, but I didn't get the proper data set. So this is it lists not only the files, all the folders and all the files it will be listing. So here it shows all the files and folders. So these are the files, list of files. The totally 17 objects displays. So I can search with, let us say I want to search with .csv file. Okay, so CSV file or docx or PDF, anything you can search. If you search for PDF, that's no files. Okay, .csv. So it displays the CSV files in your system on the file name antenna or for antenna. And if you want to search only the antenna, it displays all the files, HTML files and CSV and folders and all those things. And here we have another option under search option. So here you can see search everything, audio, document, compress, executable, folder, picture, video. So here let me choose a document. So it displays only the document. So here in the search I used only document here. So now it is displaying only the document files, not the folders. Let me choose a folder here. So it is displaying only the folder. So like this, it provides a lot of functionality, and it also provides a regular expression. That is, you can use star and multiple using a dollar symbol. You can use multiple queries, this many letters of letters of file names and all those things. So it provides a lot of additional regular expression. You can use regular expression here, or you can use advanced search here. Let me use search everything, and I'll show you some demonstration using for docx. Let me search for some DC minutes. Okay, minutes.docx. Okay, so it's showing that what are the files, because when we store the DC minutes for my scholar, so it takes a lot of time to search the minutes because we'll be using the same template again for another scholar. So using this way, you can easily find a file and you can use the files again for some other purpose. So not only for research work, for normal office purpose and everything, you can use this tool. So that is about search everything. It has more functionalities are there. Regular expression and all those things, match case, match word, matching a particular path. So these things, if you want, you can use it for your research. So let me try using colon slash. Yeah, it is working here. So DC minutes are document only in C drive. It is showing only files. So like this, we can list all the files in different folders and all those things. So it's a very helpful one. So let me end this session for, search everything. I will open another tool. Okay. So now next tool I like to share is on Manly desktop. Okay. So So before that, I will show you how to use Microsoft Excel for generating the heat map. So let me open that Excel file. So we want to predict the accuracy. When we have the accuracy, we have the accuracy and we can use. We'll be having a confusion matrix. So here, for this example, so we have the confusion matrix. I have four. That is, initially I told about image. We have cancer normal image. I said two classes. So here for this I have taken four classes A, B, C, D. So it's actual as predictor. So here we have the diagonal values of the actual accuracy, and totally for each and every type, that is under A is 250, B is 250, C 250, and D 250. These are the number of samples or cases available in each category. So total number of instances or cases here is 1000. So from among 250 of A, only 150 are correctly classified and many got misclassified. This is the confusion matrix. So this is an accuracy measure we will be calculating based on the correctly classified and misclassified. So for this, how to generate the heat mappers? So you select the table, okay, and go to conditional formatting and color scales, and you can use any of the color scales. So this way you can generate the heat map. So this will provide you the better representation about your work. Okay. So this is how you can generate the heat map. That is, you go to conditional formatting and you have to use the color scales. So this is a simple way to generate the confusion matrix heat map for confusion matrix. So next. Based on the feedback from the audience, whether Vika tool or Mendeley desktop. So which one I can go for demonstration? Comment box, please. Mendeley desktop, Python graph library. I'm not prepared for that right now. So I'll go with Mendeley desktop, or it will take a separate session. We have to prepare for R. Okay. So let me show you with the Mendeley desktop. Then I'll show you with Vika. So here, let me use my login. So okay, so when we install Mendeley Desktop, so it's a free open source. I mean, it's a free to use. So here, if you don't have the login, you have the register option here. I'll show you here. So here we have the register option. So using that register option, you can register for the login. It will open the website, the Mendeley website, and where you have to create your own profile. So then you can use it in the Mendeley desktop. So let me check. Yeah, it's logged in properly. So this is Mendeley desktop. Yeah. So this is a Mendeley desktop. So here what I did it was I have added some of the cancer images, brain tumor papers available here. So I have drag and drop. How to add the papers is you can you can use add files option here. You use a magnifier here. Yeah. So here we have add option, add files in folder, and or you can use the add folder option here and you can add the files, or you can use a file menu, have add files and add folder. So if you use add folder, if you search the particular folder, all the files in the folder will be added automatically. So that is I mean all the files, PDF files in the folder will be added to the Windows desktop, and it will be listed like this. So it will be like without favorite option. I mean, those things will not be there. It will be added default. It will looks like this. So now, so when we added all the papers here, so here you can click on the paper. So here on the right side, it displays the information about the paper. So here, let us say, on this classification of digital ECNs and digital mammograms by Samuski. So here we have it automatically extracted the title of the paper, the details window. We can see the journal name, the abstract, and the keywords is not extracted automatically here, but some papers I think it will extract. So here we have the other paper I click. So here we have the keywords automatically extracted by the desktop, and so here we have a tax option. So here what I did was, it is a tax for our purpose. So here we can mention our own tax. It may be a work 1 or work 3, like that we can give some tax. So it is for our reference. Okay, you can click on each and every paper and you can give a tax here. Okay, so this way you can add the tax for each and every paper. Okay, so where it is useful. Okay, so all the papers what we add here, it will be added in the all documents, and here you can, let me remove this folders and I create a new one. Yeah, so initially when you add the papers, we have all this library you have all documents, recently added, recently read, favorites, my publications, unsorted. So all default it will be all unsorted. So you can create a folder. So let me say I want to add a paper for a journal work 1. Okay, journal work I want to add some papers, and for some conference work, for some other work. Wait a minute. Hello. Talk kutuchukona. Now Instagram 5:30. Sorry, I got a call here. So conference work. So here I had the two folders. So now I can add some of the papers into the 2 folders. Then maybe you can ask a doubt whether I can add the same papers into both the conference and journal. Yes, it can be done. So let me add the papers. Let me add some of the papers. Okay, adding the 3 papers into conference work. Okay, and some more 3 papers into journal. Okay, retract it again. I think it's not dragged properly. Yeah. So journal work contains 3 authors, Tangavel and yeah, here we have 3 papers in the journal, and we have conference work, we have 3 papers, but these 3 papers are not present in journal. In journal we have Tangavel, and in conference we have some other authors. So I like to add the Tangal paper again into conference. So when we go to all documents, I can add Tangal paper into the conference work. So conference work also contains Tangavel paper, and journal also contains the Tangavel paper. So this way we can add the papers into different categories. And there is a favorite option. So how to make it as a favorite is you can use. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Yeah. So here, how we can make it as a favorite is you can use the star button here. So this will make the papers as a favorite. This is a favorite button. So if you click on favorites, you can see these three papers will be listed in the favorites. So this is under favorites. I have clicked on favorites. It shows the uh, these three papers. So this is a way we can filter the papers. We can add tags and all those things. So we added the tags, correct? We added three tags. So how to note them as how to see them as. So here we have option. So filter the papers by author keywords. Let me click on classification. You can see there is a paper which used classification as a keyword. In the list of keywords they used, these are the keywords used in the papers. So those are based on that it will list the papers. It will be very useful for writing your literature review and thesis. And here you can see based on the filter by authors, you can filter based on the author names. You can filter the author based on author names, and also you can filter with tags. That's my tags. I given three tags. Okay. So these are the three tags. So based on that, you can if you add the own tags. So based on that, you can filter the papers, and also you can filter by publications. That is based on journal or conference. So let me want to see papers on journal or biomedical informatics. So only those papers which published in bioinformatics, biomedical informatics papers will be listed here. So this is a way to list all the papers. Okay, so next one is how to take a notes with this. So we can take a notes and annotations. So for that we can take a notes option here. Right side details, you have a notes, general notes you can take. But in the paper contents, how to take a notes, let me open a paper. Okay, let me open this paper. Okay, how to open this paper is right click, open file, it will open into Media Desktop, or you can double click, it will open the paper. So you can see after double click, you can see the top window, it has been changed. Previously, if you close it, we have only these are the buttons available. So if I double click on this paper, you can see there is a new window, new buttons are available here. So this is note is taken notes, and highlight is to highlight the settings here. I think the paper is not in good clarity. Let me open some other paper. I think because of zooming, I think it is not showing clearly. Okay, so here, okay, already notes have been taken here. We open some other paper for explanation. Wait a minute. Yeah, so let me take this paper. Okay, so now I want to highlight the points here. So here I want to highlight the important points here. So what I do is I go to highlight, and I can select some of the sections here. Okay, so now it is highlighted to the important points here. You can see I highlighted this important several lines, and you can highlight, change the color. Okay, so let me highlight some other points here. So different colors you can use it for highlighting different portion of your text. And there is another option, highlight. We have highlight rectangle. So let me use highlight rectangle here. So rectangle, what will happen is you can draw a rectangle, and all the text in that rectangle will be highlighted. So that is the easy way to highlight some part of your papers. The paper you are referencing, you want to make a notes. And another option is you want to, let's say you want to take a notes. Okay, let me change the color. Okay, let me move the paper. Okay, okay. So let me want to take a notes here. So I will use the note option here. So I will click on somewhere here. What I did was I clicked on a note button, and I can click on anywhere in the paper. I can click anywhere, and I can take a note. If you click on anywhere, it will open a box where you can type the notes. So here I'll say that figure 2 is important one. Okay. So let me click outside. So this notes will be available here. You can see the notes is available here. You can click it. You can see the figure 2 notes. Okay. So this is a way you can take sort of annotations and notes. So next I will show how to. You can, if you click on sync, it will sync it to the server and you can use it any time. Okay, let me close all these things. And now I will show you in MS Word how to use this one for writing the paper, the references and the citations, how to change the style from IEEE or HUL and all those things. So let me open that MS Word. Okay, so before that, we need to know that whether MS Word plugin is installed. Okay, so in the tools option, you have install MS Word plugin. Let me use a magnify. Okay, so here we have the several options. Even we have a plugin importer, web importer, where you can import from the plugins from the Chrome plugin or Firefox plugin, which can be used so that you can add the papers into Mendeley desktop automatically from the search window. You need to download the paper and add it to the Mendeley desktop. With the browser, one click in the browser, you can add the papers into your login. And here, if the MS Word plugin is not installed, it will show install MS Word plugin. Since it is already installed, it is showing uninstall MS Word plugin. So I will not change anything here because the MS Word plugin is already installed. Okay, I'll show you demonstration in MS Word. So let me zoom in. Okay, now, yeah. So how to check the Mendeley desktop is installed? You can go to the reference option. The references, you can see M symbol here. That is insert citation, insert bibliography, open Mendeley desktop here. So it shows the style is IEEE format. So this is where the Mendeley desktop plugin is installed in MS Word. So let me try the some example here. Okay. Papers on cancer. Discussed about cancer. So I want to add some papers here. Wait a minute. So here I like to add some of the reference papers here. Okay, in the citation, the literature review part, we want to add the citations. So here, let me add the citations here. How to add a citation here is, I will click insert citation. We have a button here, insert citation. So you can search based on the title of the paper, author name, or year. Let me search for cancer. So I will add first paper, second. Okay, let me add cancer. Okay, I'm adding 3 papers. If I search for the keyword and select the paper, it will be added. So I have added 3 papers here. So 1, 2, 3 it talks about cancers, and classification discussed in papers. Let me try again insert citation. Okay, let me try for classification. So let me choose this paper, classification, and classification. Okay. So here in the first line, I used 3 references. And the same references are used again here in the second line, that is 145. This only first reference is reused here. So now we have finished with the citation part. So let me go into the references. So we need to write the references correct. The last when you write the paper, we have to write the references. So I'm writing the references. So these references has to be added here. How to add them is the button here, insert bibliography. So you can see insert bibliography. Click on that. So it will add all the 5 papers here. So the first paper is Samulski paper, and second one is V. Raman, third one is Lavanya Devi, fourth one is Tangavel, and the fifth one is Sugandhi. So this is the papers I referenced in IEEE format. So let me little bit zoom out. Okay, these are the papers that have been referenced, 5 papers. So now how to change the citations? So I said we can change the citation from one format to one style to another style. So let me choose some of the, yeah, I'm giving a change from IEEE to some other format, American Psychology Association. So here you can see the references will be ordered based on the alphabetical order. And previously it was Samulski was the first reference, but now Lavanya Devi is being given the first one. And the citation format is 1, 2, 3 previously in IEEE. Now it is author name, comma, year. So here also you can see the references. It also previously Samulski paper was the first one, but now Lavanya Devi is the first one. It will be in alphabetical order. So both the citations as well as the references will be modified automatically. So this is a way to work with Mendeley Desktop. So that's all about Mendeley Desktop. So if you have any queries, people can ask now.
Participants, if you have any queries, you please ask.
Yes, your citation and scopus. See, if you have a Orchid profile where you can check your citations, the same thing will be linked in Scopus. And or maybe you can check in Publons. So Publons will give you the citations that will be for Scopus and SEA. So that way you can check in the citation details. Many search engines, Yahoo, Google, Mendeley. Okay. Okay, so if participants are interested, I'll show demonstration using Vika tool. Shall I, another 10 minutes, I can show demonstration. So wait a minute, I will open the PPT, I'll show 10 minutes. I'll share some simple demonstration using Vika tool. So it's a very easy to use tool, and I'll show you the demonstration. Okay. And I'm opening the PPT and many things. Just a minute. Hello. Sir, कसली रखना सर? मैं कितने की सर? PPT पर.
Sir, your voice is not audible, sir. Sir, your voice is not audible, sir.
Yes, madam. I'm here only. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Just a minute. Okay, let me open my. Just checking for that slide. Yeah. So for this presentation for Vika tool, I'll be using this Iris Lover dataset as an example. Actually, I tried for some antenna dataset, but I couldn't able to get it. So I'm using this Iris Lover dataset. So here it contains 4 features, or we call it as a variables, and it contains 3 type of classes. Initially, I said for cancer image we have normal and cancer image. So here in this one we have 3 type of classes. What it does is in the iris flower there are 3 different types of iris flower. It is iris versicolor, setosa, and virginica. These are the 3 different types of iris flower. So they want to differentiate all these 3 flowers based on these some parameters. The parameters are the 4 features. What are the 4 features are the sepal length, sepal width, petal length, and petal width. So this is a sepal one. This is the big one is the sepal, and inside one smaller one is the petal. So for the both the thing they take the width and length. So that will be used as a feature for differentiating the 3 types of setosa flowers, iris flowers. So here we have 3 classes. We are going to classify them into iris versicolor or setosa virginica based on the 4 parameters, that is sepal length, sepal width, petal length, and petal width. Under each flower we have 50 images. They have taken the features for 50 iris versicolor images, 50 iris setosa images, iris virginica 50 images. Have taken the features, and that is the data set, iris data set, which is available along with Vika tool. So Vika tool contains around more than 25 data sets are available along with the Vika tool. So it's a very open source and it's free to use. It is very easy to use also. No bit of much coding knowledge and those things are not required. Let me show you the example for this IRIS data set. So here we have different interfaces are there. So you can use experimentals like there is another knowledge flow and all those things. So where you can have drag and drop, you can create a workflow and all those things. And Explorer is selecting a buttons and all those things. You can experiment with the results. And here, Vika will use a format called ARFF format. So if you have a data in Excel, in XLS format, directly here in the Vika tool. One thing you have to do is you have to save it as a CSV, and that is comma separated format, and you can use it in the Vika tool. So Vika tool supports only few formats. Among that, CSV is one of the format. Another format is ARFF, that is Vika's own format. So I'll show you a demonstration. So for this, I'll be using Explorer option here. Let me use Magnify. Okay. So let me open Explorer. Okay, it is opening. Yeah. So Vika Explorer contains several tabs. What are the tabs here? Okay, it's grouped under different categories based on the functionality the algorithms are presented as. The pre-processing tab will contains like finding the, replacing with missing values. If any values are missing, it will replace it with missing values. And another thing is convert some alphanumeric, characters to numeric values, because some of the classes they'll give it like ABC or something like that, but some of the classifiers will take like only the numeric values. Then you have to convert them into numeric values and all those things. So several functions, pre-processing functions are available in pre-processing tab, and we have classification. It provides more than 50 classification algorithms and different categories. Yeah, not only generic, the traditional classification algorithms like SVM, ENN, Navy bias, and all those decision tree and all those things. It also provides classification algorithms like boosting, bagging, boosting, ensemble classification, and so these are some algorithms are present here. And clustering is cluster contains a clustering algorithm like k-means and a few other clustering algorithms. Association is association rule meaning. That is, it is used like when you buy a shoe, you'll be buying a socks. So in a basket, shopping and all those things, we will identify the association between the several objects. So for that, we'll be using association remaining algorithms. And self attribute is the dimensional detection of the feature selection methods are present here. Visualization, where you can draw you can see the histograms and you can draw scatter plot between any two attributes and all those things. So here we have to use open file. So let me open the file. Another 5 minutes. I'll not take more than that. So click open file. So the Vika folder, I have to go to the C drive. Go to C drive, program files. Hello. Yes, sir. India. 2 to 9, sir. Sorry, I got a come here. Okay, so here on the Vika folder, you have data folder, and here you can open this data folder. It has a lot of data sets are available. These are the sample data set comes along with the Vika tool, and I'm going to use Iris data set. Even Ionosphere data set is there. I think is related to signals and all those things. Maybe you can use that. Let me use Iris data set. Click open. So as already said, it contains 4 features: sepal length, sepal width, petal length, and petal width, and the class variable. So if you click on sepal length, you can see how the values are distributed. It ranges from 4.3 to 7.9, and this is the histogram. How many values are present in this particular range of values? And this is a minimum value. This is a maximum value. What is a mean value? So these are the several parameters which you can use it for your explaining about your input data. On class, I said it has 3 labels. So I'm clicking on the class. Here you can see there are 3 labels here. So 3 classes, each containing 50 images. So this is a iris setosa, versicolor, and virginica. So let me show you classification algorithm. So I clicked on classification. So when we go for classification, some of the people will do the mistake is they will apply the classification algorithm for the full training set, and they will show the classification accuracy. But that is not the correct way. So we have to use a training and testing data set, and or you can use a cross validation. Cross validation is tenfold cross validation is generally followed. And another thing is a percentage split. Wait a minute. Vika. The name of the tool is Vika, so I can't see the commands. So anybody can tell me the queries. Okay, so now Vika tool. This is a Vika tool. So here we have tenfold cross validation. And another thing is a percentage split. So percentage split is usually people go for 60-40 or 60% training, 40% testing, or 70-30 or 80-20. This is a normal standard procedure used in research. Or you can go for cross validation. Cross validation is tenfold. All it does is it will split the data into 10 different parts. In the first set, it will take 90% as training and remaining 10 is testing. And again, the second part, it will take some other 10% as a testing part. Like it will split, it will run for 10 times. Then it will take the average accuracy. That is a cross validation. But cross validation always results accuracy lesser than percentage split. Okay. So let us try with percentage split 60-40. Let us try applying on some of the classification algorithms. So here when we apply classification algorithm, so let me choose the classification algorithm here. So what I did was I clicked on choose here. It displays the classification algorithms. So we have navy bias and the base, and the functions contains logistic regression, multilayer perceptron, and all those things. So you can see some of the functions are not highlighted. Some are, not visible. I mean, it's not able to select. So this is a Day-shifted classifier. The trees, and J48 is C4.5. That is the latest Day-shifted classifier. So we call it as C4.5, and it is mentioned as J48. And the metadata and all those things will contain bagging and boosting and those classification algorithms. And functions will contain MLP, that is a multilayer perceptron, that is neural network. And we can go to navy bias. Let us select navy bias algorithm. Okay, and you want to know about the algorithm and all those things, you can click here and it will show you the additional information, and you can change the parameters here. And also if you click on more, you can see the base paper where this algorithm is implemented. So this will be useful for writing a research paper. So after this, what we have to do is we have to see the class variable. Okay, so when we have several attributes, sometimes what happens is the class variable has to be always can be kept as a last variable, but sometimes it may not be the case. Then you have to select the corresponding class variable here and click on start. So we use navy bias, percentage split is 60-40, and clicking on the start. So it gives the result here. You can see the correctly classified instances accuracy is 93.33%, and we have several measures like absolute error, root mean square error, and all those things. And here we have precision recall measure and all those things. And we have a confusion matrix. So this has the confusion matrix. So here the kernel values are correctly classified, remaining are misclassified. So among the test data, 4 are misclassified. Okay. Let me try with 80-20 percentage split. Okay, let me start. So it is giving 96%. So for 60-40 it is giving 93. But for 80-20 it is giving 96. That is more training the system will able to understand the, it will able to predict much better. So always training can be kept more. So that is a, application here. And cluster analysis, clustering is similar to that. We're not using the class variable here. So it has several simple k-means and a lot of other clustering algorithms are there. Similarly, you can apply for clustering also. And this is how, and another thing I would like to share here is visualization. So here you can see the class variable with sepal length, sepal width, and petal length and petal width. So how the values are related to each other. And also you can relate between two attributes. Let us say we want to relate between petal width and petal length. Okay, so we have top, we have petal length, and here we have petal width. So this is a graph here between the petal length and petal width. Let me click on this. Let me double click. So this is a petal length and petal width between two attributes x and y. The color is based on the class variable. It will show you the graph. So this way you can see how two attributes related to each other, and you can use these graphs for not only the histograms. Histogram is like plotting the amount of values for each and every attributes, and this is a scatter plot for different relation between two attributes. So this way you can understand more better with your how the values are how the values are distributed in your data set, input data set, and it will be helpful for justifying your result and all those things. So that's all about Vika 2. So it's very easy to use. You have a lot of tutorials are available on the internet for various algorithms and all those things. So you can use that for your research. And I'll stop presenting. The Vika tool is open source, free to use. No, there is no need of a license one. It's a free one. Free one. Vika tool is free to use. There is no license required.